Hello, and here we are with the first of our discussion involving the components of the marketing mix, the four P's of marketing: product, place, price, and promotion. So we have two distinct videos dealing with product. The first one will talk about product concepts, and then the next one will follow and talk about product management issues. And then we will follow those with a series of videos related to the place function. And then once we've covered the place function, we will have a couple of videos associated with pricing. And then we will conclude the videos with two videos associated with marketing communications, or promotion, or more specifically, integrated marketing communications. So this one we're going to focus on product concepts, and what we're going to do is we're going to define what a product is. We're going to talk about different types of consumer products. We're going to briefly touch on product mix, product lines, and then we will finish up the discussion with looking at concept of branding. So a product can be defined as anything of value to a consumer that can be obtained through an exchange. So again, anything of value to a consumer that can be obtained through an exchange. And so the common examples of a product would be, when people think of products, they think of goods, right? My wonderful Committed to Carol coffee cup from a long ago capital campaign at John Carroll. A coffee cup would be an example of a good. There are also services, right? So, for example, some of you are accountancy majors, and the emphasis at John Carroll has been on producing certified public accountants, or CPAs. Accountants provide services to businesses and individuals, right? So there are services. There's also places that can be viewed as products, right? I live in East Central Florida, and about 85 miles away is Orlando, and outside of Orlando is Disney World and Universal Studios and places like that. They are marketed. I mean, people come from literally Disney World. They come from all over the world to come visit, Disney World. So again, a product is anything of value to a consumer that can be obtained through an exchange. As I mentioned, we will have a brief discussion on the types of consumer products. And again, I'm focusing on consumer products because we're all consumers, right? There's also business-to-business products. We're not really that interested. I mean, there's nothing wrong with them, but to me, students always relate better to things that they have a firsthand knowledge of, as opposed to something they don't have as much knowledge of. And so, for example, an example of a business-to-business product might be, if you fly, let's say, if you fly between Cleveland and Los Angeles on United Airlines, that commercial jet, right, that Boeing jet that you're flying, would be an example of a business-to-business product. Most individuals don't own commercial jets like a Boeing 737. You might have a private jet. All right, that's a whole nother thing. That would be one of the things that that we would be talking about. All right, so there are four types of consumer products: what is known as unsought products, convenience products, shopping products, and specialty products. And unsought products refer to products that consumers either don't know about or they don't want, and they can be a real challenge from a marketing perspective, because if people don't know about a particular product, obviously it's going to be difficult for people to even consider purchasing the product if they don't know about it. Secondly, there may be products out there that people don't want, and you as a marketer may have a real challenge in getting people to purchase the product that you don't want. And there's lots of examples. And one example, pardon me, I got something in my eye. One example that we can use of a product that people don't want is like prune juice. Prune juice doesn't have a real, most people don't want much to do with prune juice because prune juice has a lot of not so positive connotations. And so one of the challenges, if you're a manufacturer of prune juice, right, one of your challenges is to convince people that, that they should buy prune juice. And one of the things that has been considered by basically the prune juice manufacturers is changing the name of the product because prune juice has such a negative connotation that even if there are beneficial aspects to prune juice, and there are, right, people are just like, I don't want to have anything to do with that particular product. So one type of product is an unsought product. There are also what are known as convenience products, and these are products that are purchased frequently, immediately, and with a minimum of purchasing effort. Right, so they're purchased frequently, immediately, and with a minimum of purchasing effort. And if you've looked ahead to the longer writing assignment, those products that you're being asked to look at in the longer writing assignment, those are examples of convenience products. And one of the things that you will find with convenience products is you can find convenience products in a lot of different places, right? You can find a convenience product. You might find a convenience product in a vending machine. You might find them in a convenience store. You might find them in a drugstore. You might find them in a grocery store. You might find them in a mass merchandiser. You might find them in a discount store. So you can find them in a lot of different places. All right. There are also what are known as shopping products, and these are products that customers compare with respect to price, quality, style, and other features. Kind of the classic example for a long time of shopping products would be shoes. If you go into a mall, right, and I know malls are, kind of not the strongest industry here in the United States in the latter part of the second decade of the 21st century. But if you go into malls, a lot of malls often have multiple shoe stores. Those are because shoes are often seen as a shopping good, where you go to one store and you say, well, there's this kind of, this kind of high heel. I don't wear high heels. I'm a guy. I don't wear high heels. But, you might be a young lady and you might like high heels. And so you go, I like these kinds of high heels. And you look at one store and you go, eh. Go to another store and you go, well, I like this high heel better, but the high heel at the other store is a little cheaper, kind of stuff. So those are known as shopping goods. Customers compare with respect to price, quality, style, and other features. And finally, there are what are known as specialty items or specialty products, and those are items for which a customer is willing to look for a specific brand. All right, so that would be something, like maybe a Gucci bag for an example. And one of the things with specialty products is that because customers are willing to look for a specific brand with respect to specialty products, that often means that marketers can charge a higher price. And so one of the important aspects of this classification of the product types is that each one of them, unsought, convenience, shopping, and specialty, has important marketing implications with respect to the other components of the marketing mix: price, place, price, and promotion. So again, for example, with convenience products, you can find them in a lot of different places. Because you can find them in a lot of different places, it might mean that there's not going to be as much price variation, because buying a bottle of aspirin at CVS shouldn't cost much more than buying the same bottle of aspirin at Walgreens. All right, so we've talked about types of products. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit and move into the discussion of product mix and product line. And product line refers to a set of items that are related because they function in a similar manner and are sold in similar places. So a product line It refers to a set of items that are interrelated because they function in a similar manner and are sold in similar places. And so one example of a product line would be is if you go to Procter & Gamble, which is a major consumer goods manufacturer. They have their headquarters down in Cincinnati in Ohio. If you go to Procter & Gamble, you will find out that Procter & Gamble sells a number of different kinds of laundry detergents, such as Tide and Cheer and Bold, right? The laundry detergents might be considered a product line because they function in a similar manner and they're sold in similar places. You're going to buy, right? Where are you going to buy? Think about where you're going to buy laundry detergent. You're probably going to buy that in a grocery store. You might buy it in a pharmacy. You might buy it in a place like a Walmart. God only knows what a Walmart is. Is a Walmart a superstore? Is it a grocery store? You know, who knows anymore? We'll talk more about that when we talk about marketing intermediaries. The understanding of a product line is important because there are several concepts associated with the product line, one of which is product mix, which is all products and all product lines that are offered by a firm, right? There's also what is known as product breadth, the number of different product lines. And so you say, well, what do you mean by the number of different product lines? Well, if you think about Procter & Gamble, you know, Procter & Gamble offers laundry detergents, but you can also buy shaving cream, right? They own Gillette, they own deodorant, right? Shampoo, right? Head and Shoulders, for example. So the breadth of the product line, sometimes called the width of the product line, refers to the number of different product lines that are offered by an organization. There's also what is known as product line depth, right, or product mix depth. And that refers to the variety of sizes, colors, and models in a particular product line. And you say, what the hell are you talking about? Well, if you want to have some fun, right, only if you want to have some fun, you might want to spend a little bit of time going to the Tide website. You can go to Procter & Gamble, you can go to Tide, and you can go to the Tide website. And if you got, 10 or 15 minutes, just start clicking on all the various options that Tide is offered under. I mean, there's different sizes. There's different, I call them flavors, right? There's liquid, there's powder, there's high efficiency, there's Tide with Febreze, there's Tide with Downy, which is a fabric softener also made by Procter & Gamble. There's all sorts of, like I said, there's all sorts of different sizes. This is incredible. And so with respect to Tide, right, tremendous depth in that particular product line because of the number of variations of sizes and styles and packaging attributes associated with the product. There's also what is known, with respect to product mix, there's also what is known as the concept of consistency. And that refers to how well the relatedness of the different product lines. So how well do they fit together, right? And you might say, oh, that's a really stupid issue. But one of the reasons I bring it up is because it's not a stupid issue, because what more and more organizations, in the latter part of the second decade of the 21st century, from my perspective, there's a much greater emphasis on product mix consistency today than when I took my earliest business courses back in the mid to late 1970s, where there was a different philosophy of putting together products and that just didn't seem to have a good connection, right, from a consistency perspective. But the reason they were being put together was more from a financial thing, where you might have a product that was like cyclical, it kind of followed the business cycle, and then another product in your product mix was kind of counter-cyclical. It kind of was, it went down when the economy went up, and it went up when the economy went down, right? And so there was this philosophy that you should have some products that, kind of follow the economic cycle, and you should have other products that don't follow the economic cycle. And what it led to was really crazy product portfolios that certain organizations had. And so they were selling their products, and also they were all sorts of different kinds of products. There were all sorts of different kinds of retail outlets, and so there wasn't a lot of leverage, and there wasn't a lot of synergy that organizations could accomplish. And so, like I said, today there's a much greater emphasis in many organizations on the consistency of the product mix. That is, how well do the products fit together. So if you think of somebody like a Procter & Gamble, where you're selling beauty products and laundry products and things of that nature, you can buy beauty products and laundry products. A lot of times, you can buy them in the same store, right? And you say, yeah, you can. All right, so we've talked about that. And so the final thing to talk about in this particular topic, and we could talk forever. I mean, there are entire courses that are devoted to nothing more than product, right? Is branding. And a brand refers to a name, a term, design, or symbol that identifies a product, right? So a name, a term, a design, or symbol that identifies a product. So you think about, a brand name, Chipotle. Yay, there's a brand name. And then you think about, designs or symbols, like the Nike swoosh would be an example, or the McDonald's golden arches, right? Those are things that kind of identify particular brand and differentiate them, right? We go back to our stuff with, how can we position our products, right? And how can we differentiate? Well, branding is a way of potentially differentiating products. And that leads to a discussion of, and your book talks about this, the kind of the brand ownership issue, which is known as the manufacturer brands versus the private brands, sometimes known as generics or off brands and things like that. And you say, well, I have no clue what you're talking about. So, for example, if you go to Sears, well, and who goes to Sears anymore? There's a company that 30, 40 years ago, that was the dominant retailer in the United States. And, it wouldn't be surprising in the next 2 years if Sears no longer exists as an entity. But anyway, one of the products with appliances is the Kenmore brand, right? For Sears. And it's a private label, right? It's a Sears brand, right? But the Kenmore products, right, are made by name brand manufacturers, right? Oftentimes the washers and the dryers for a long time, the Sears washers and dryers that were sold under the Kenmore label, were made by Whirlpool, which is obviously a brand name manufacturer. You say, why would Whirlpool, right? Why would Whirlpool make washers and dryers, or refrigerators, whatever, right? Why would Whirlpool make them and sell some of them under the Whirlpool name and then sell another group of them under the Kenmore name? And the bottom line is that, the private label versus the manufacturer brand thing, a lot of times it comes down to, right, some people are really, really wedded to brands because brands signify status and things like that, and peace of mind and yada, yada, yada. The flip side of the coin is that because brands, have cachet and there's value to brands, is that when you're buying a name brand product, right, when you're buying a Whirlpool washing machine, you're going to pay more for the Whirlpool label than you would for a washing machine that's made by Whirlpool, that carries a private label. And so what happens is there are different price points out there. Some people might look and say, I can only afford $500 for a washing machine. Right? They might not be able to get a Whirlpool for $500. They might be able to get a Kenmore for $500. So there's this really interesting dance that goes on. And a lot of times, there really isn't very much difference in quality. Because when Whirlpool's making wash, and I saw this firsthand. I did some consulting for a white goods manufacturer a number of years ago, and it was making the same washing machine and selling it under three different product names in the marketplace with three very, very different price points. And the only difference between those three machines was the name that appeared on the machine. They were the identical washing machine. So, brand ownership in terms of manufacturer brands versus private brands. And then the final thing that we'll talk about involves brand extension. And so what sometimes happens with companies or with brands is they start out in one area and they say, you know what, we're going to take a brand name that's been successful in one product line and we're going to branch out and apply it to other product lines. And that concept is known as brand extension. And there's a lot of examples of that out there. One that I like to use involves Under Armour. Under Armour started out, and I don't know if you know the story of Under Armour. The guy named was Kevin Plank, who started Under Armour. He was a football player at Maryland. And he basically was wondering how you could come up with wickable material when you worked out, and so Under Armour was basically first to the market with kind of the wickable athletic products. But through the years, what you now find is Under Armour has taken the Under Armour name, and it's no longer with athletic tops and athletic shorts, but now there's athletic shoes and there's athletic bags and things of that nature. And those are known as brand extensions. All right, so I've hit about the 22-minute mark here. We've had a lot of fun talking about product concepts, and I will see you next time to talk about some issues associated with product management. See you for now. Bye.